There is a phenomenon sweeping the globe right now, bringing joy, positivity, community, collaboration, working together to create a better world. And the group leading that phenomenon is known as BTS. They are a performance group out of South Korea, and they are currently on a tour, and they are sharing their love, their excitement, their playfulness, their positivity, their sense of community everywhere that they go. This is going to be a different video than I usually do today. And I know that sometimes people really appreciate interpretations of celebrities' human design charts. And I have been thinking about doing a video about BTS and their human design for quite some time, ever since I drew their charts and kind of went, wow. So I want to share with you today, for those of my human design friends, some of what makes BTS what they are based in their human design. So you don't really have to know that much about BTS. I'm going to share with you some of the miraculous things that they have created and this phenomenon that is really unfolding across the world at the current moment. And then for any of the armies, Army is the name of the fandom of BTS, for any of my Army friends who find their way to this, I'm going to share some of the indicators in their human design charts that I think can help us understand why are they so phenomenally not just successful, but influential, and influential in a way that it makes literally tens of thousands of people around the world want to follow them, want to be in their presence, want to support them, and want to be in this community of the fandom. So I'm going to dive into that, and I'm not going to go into like deep readings of all of their charts. I will do that if you have interest in that. You can let me know in the comments below if you're like, yeah, I would love to see more of that. I actually did a video, a couple of years ago now, about Min Yoongi, because I had seen a movie of his concert, and he is a reflector, and I felt so inspired to create a little video about that. I'll put the link for that down below in case you want to check it out. But I'd be happy to do more content about BTS and taking a look at their human design and helping us really understand why they are such ambassadors of the future, because they truly are. And it's all hidden in their human design. So let's get into it. One of the things that's truly remarkable about BTS is that they had been on a group hiatus for 4 years. They hadn't actually performed together for 4 years. Different individual members had done their own tours, but every man in South Korea needs to go and do military service. So they had gone in a staggered way to do military service. And then just about a year ago, the last of them was done, and they got together and they started songwriting and they started producing. And in March of this year, they released their album and they did their first concert in Seoul, and they took over all of downtown Seoul. It was a remarkable beginning of this new phase for them. And when they released their album, they broke all kinds of records. So they did $3.98 million in sales on the first day. They had 110 million streams on Spotify on the first day, and every single song, there are 14 songs on the album, charted on Spotify on the global charts on that day. So they've been breaking records left and right. They have billions and billions of streams already on YouTube with all of their different music videos. And I love this last one I want to read to you here. So Polestar numbers don't lie. $139 million from 13 dates already. BTS is operating at a completely different scale. Their tour is a stadium tour, so the different venues have anywhere from about 45, 50,000 people to up to 80, 85,000 people. And they've been selling them out. And the reason they wanted to do stadiums, they said, is they wanted everybody to be able to come. They wanted the tickets to be affordable. Any of you have gone to concerts anytime recently, you know that concert tickets are very expensive. And so they were like, we want to do big venues. We want everybody to be able to come. And they have been filling them. One of the highlights of these concerts is a song called Body to Body, which is a banger. It's my favorite song, actually. And towards the end of it, there's a section where they have a group of Korean women who are singing a very traditional song called Arirang, which is the name of the album and the name of the tour. And it's a song that every person in Korea knows. And it's a song about missing and longing for someone that you love. It chokes me up every time I think about it. And so they have these women that are singing that, and they put that into the song. And at that point, they have their dancers come on stage with big Korean flags, and they're going around. They have a theater in the round. They're going around in the middle, and it really is spreading Korean culture all around the planet as they are going to all of these different places. I mean, they've been in the United States. They're back in the United States. They've been in Mexico. They went all through Europe. They're going to go back to South America, we hope, and then in 2027 they're going to go through Asia, and they're going to go down under. So this is major influence, right? That they are sharing Korean culture around the world, and they're really putting a stake in the ground that we are Korean, because sometimes they have been criticized when they started to sing in English, for example, that they were becoming Western, or that they were bowing down to Western audiences. And so this is a really strong statement. No, they are actually Korean, and they want everybody to understand that and to fall in love with Korean culture. So not only that, but the fandom loves what they're doing. And so here in this image, you can see in the Stanford concert, they had a fan project where the armies brought Korean flags, and they held them up. And I saw shorts of when the members saw that, and some of them were just crying because they felt so much the love of Army coming to them, just like they share the love with Army. To give you another indicator of the kind of influence that they have, the president of Mexico actually called them up and asked them to add a third concert when the two that they had sold out so fast. She wanted everybody to come. And then she brought them to the presidential palace when they were there. She met with them for like a half an hour. She brought them out on to the balcony, and there were 50,000 people there waiting to see them. And as this tour has continued, and as they have gone to all of these different cities, the cities are starting to realize that this is a very lucrative opportunity for them, as well as it is for BTS, because many, many armies come in from all over to go to these concerts. And so they come in and they sell out all of the hotels. They go eat in the restaurants. They go and they buy stuff, right? They're really bringing in a lot of commerce into the different cities. And Toronto has caught on to this. They're going to Toronto soon, and Toronto is actually renaming one of their streets the BTS Boulevard, and they want to rename the weekend when they're there the BTS Weekend. They were also invited to participate in the halftime show at the World Cup this year, and they did that at the MetLife Stadium. And then just a few days later, they did their own concert at the MetLife Stadium, which is the center image here. They totally filled it, and people were so excited. Some people said they could barely hear the music because people were singing so loud, and people were so happy. And it's worth noting here that Jungkook, who is their youngest member, known as their maknae, also participated in a halftime at the World Cup. The Saudis in 2022 invited him to come, and he did it solo. And the armies don't just go to concerts, and they don't just flood cities. They do stuff as well. I just want to share a couple of highlights. So back in 2020, when George Floyd was murdered, BTS donated $1 million to Black Lives Matter. And then I think it was in 48 hours, it was a very short period of time, armies matched that $1 million donation to Black Lives Matter. Then another thing that they do is that they're also supporting all of the other armies as they're coming into their local cities. So they set up websites that tell them what are the good restaurants, where you should stay, what you should avoid, where's the meetup, how you can get help if you need it. It's this deep sense of community, of people just helping each other out, because everybody wants to have a good time. They don't want there to be trouble. And when you have this many people, this is a huge contribution that the local armies are making. So I hope you're getting a sense of the kind of global impact and influence that BTS has. And they recently shook the entire music industry when they posted on their Instagrams. All 7 of them did this at exactly the same time, and they did it in Korean to make a point where they said, we have decided not to submit to the Grammys this year. We hope our music can be heard and loved for what it is, rather than being divided by region or language. We thank ARMY and everyone who has stood by this. And they did this in response to the Grammys creating yet a new category for Asian music. And they just felt that that was another step that the Grammys took to try to marginalize non-Western artists. After all, they never created a European category, right? No, it's like the US and Europe are the center point of the Grammys, always have been. The Grammys have always had their darlings, right? And BTS is like, we're not having any of it. We don't need you, people. And it is shaking the Grammys and many people in the music industry to their core, because they're realizing that the companies no longer have the level of control that they used to. And BTS is speaking truth to power in a really big way. Okay, with that as an introduction, I want to highlight some stats from the group as a whole, not so much for individuals, but for the group as a whole, having to do with their human design. Because when I look at their human design, I see a lot of things that help me understand who they are, what their history has been like, why it's been that way, and why they have such incredible influence. So I'm just going to read these through for my human design people, and then I'm going to go into each one of them in a little bit more detail. So 5 of the members have a predominance, and some of them a large predominance, of what we call individual circuitry. There's 3 main circuits in human design. There's individual circuitry, tribal circuitry, and collective circuitry. And for them, they have a predominance of individual circuitry, 5 of them. That's 5 out of the 7, right? 4 of the members have a 5th line profile. 3 of the members have a 4th line profile. 2 of the members have the right angle cross of rulership, which includes the gate 45, which is known as the king or the queen or the sovereign gate. And 3 of the members have the gate 28 defined in their chart. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this actually means. So Taehyun, Jimin, Hoseok, also known as Hobi, Jungkook, and Namjoon all have a predominance of individual circuitry. So individual circuitry is here to be different. It's here to bring change. It does not fit in, and it's always ahead of its time. Right? These guys have always been ahead of their time ever since they started. It's part of what made their beginning difficult, because they were different. They wrote their own songs. They did their own choreography. They didn't have a lot of support from their company, because their company didn't have a lot of resources to help them. And so they really had to forge their way. And that made it more difficult for them in some ways, but it also made them stronger. And they also have a predominance of what's known as the knowing circuit. The knowing circuit is part of individual circuitry. It's most of individual circuitry, and it's highly intuitive, and it's plugged directly into super consciousness. And these guys definitely are. Jimin, Hoseok, Jungkook, and Namjoon all have the 5th line profile. So your 5th line profile is kind of like your character. Let's just keep it simple that way. And the 5th line profile in traditional human design is known as the martyr, and in quantum human design is known as the visionary leader. And the reason it was called the martyr, Galileo was kind of the poster child for that, because after all, Galileo was a man who was ahead of his time. But we think of this now as the visionary leader. And 5th lines tend to be attractive, charismatic, compelling. People want to be around them. People want to learn from them, just want to be in their presence. And one of the challenges, but also the opportunities for the 5th line is that they're often projected upon. And they can also project onto others, because that kind of compelling, kind of attractive, charismatic energy that they have, people kind of want something from them, and they can project onto them that you can meet my needs, right? you're here to do that for me. This is largely unconscious, right? But it can happen. And you can obviously see that these men are highly charismatic, right? They're very compelling. People want to be around them. And they also have had a history of haters from early on. They had a history of people really attacking them, saying negative things about them, really trying to tear them down. Actually, the English translation of their name is bulletproof Boy Scouts, right? So they've always had this kind of underdog energy, which makes sense when I think of them as having a lot of fifth lines in their group, because they're gonna have that charisma. People are gonna want to be around them, but some people are either going to project their, I want you, you need to give me something, or I gotta tear you down because I don't like the way that you are. They're going to project a lot of negative stuff onto them, right? So the assignment of the fifth line, and I have to say the fifth line is one of the biggest assignments in human design, is to be able to use that charisma that you have to help people to see their own patterns, to reflect back to them. We call it the karmic mirror. Reflect back to them their own energy so that they can start to see, oh, my projection, this is my projection. It's not actually you, it's actually me. And that can help the person to really kind of digest what's going on for them. And I think that one of the big things that BTS has done, they had 2 albums called Map of the Soul. They have are known as the Love Yourself people, right? They have a song called Love Yourself. They have been Love Yourself ambassadors in Korea. And so they have really been trying to kind of give back, right? We're using our charisma to help you to heal your patterns, to recognize that your history of beating up on yourself or seeing yourself as less than is a pattern, and you can move through it. And they have all been through it themselves. This is not something that they're doing just like as an intellectual thing. They have all had to face their own demons, and they have had to move through them. And then they have offered that out to others so that it can really help them as well. 3 of their members, Taehyung and Jin and Yoongi, are all 4th line profiles. And this is known as the opportunist in traditional human design, or the stabilizer in quantum human design. And this is really a networking kind of energy. It's a community kind of energy. They both network themselves. They like to see opportunity. They like to connect with opportunity. They like to connect with people, but they're also the centers of their own network. They often kind of have a network that is going around them. And so they like to also connect the people in their network with other opportunities as well. So it's not that they just see opportunities and keep it to themselves. They actually like to spread their ability to see opportunities out and help other people see that as well. And so the assignment of that 4th line is to connect with opportunities, to set up networks, and to help other people do the same. It's very much a community kind of energy and helping to stabilize communities. And you can see how much this is totally part of BTS's character, right? That they've obviously seen a lot of opportunities. They've taken advantage of a lot of opportunities. They've reached out to many other musical artists to collaborate with. They've participated on other people's music as well. Both Namjoon and Yoongi, who are producers and songwriters, have written songs for many other groups as well. And obviously, ARMY is a huge community that they're at the center of, right? But the community is so much of a community that they're all talking to each other, right? It's a tribe that doesn't have to only communicate with BTS. They actually are communicating with each other as well. And that is what it takes to create true community. So Namjoon and Yoongi, which I both mentioned a minute ago, they're both rappers. They were the songwriting powerhouse when BTS first started, wrote many of their first songs. They continue to write many of their songs, and they do it with other members of the group, but early on they were really kind of the core of that. And they share the same, what we call incarnation cross, which is the right angle cross of rulership, which includes the gate 45. The gate 45 comes right off of here on the throat, and it's known as the king or the queen or the sovereign gate. So it's the gate of tribal leadership, And it's activating, expressing, and manifesting energy. And very often people recognize BTS as kind of kings. When they walk out onto a stage, they own that stage, right? There's like, this is my world and I am in charge. And they all do that, right? They carry that energy. But Namjoon really carries that energy. He is their leader. And when they did their concert in Seoul, he actually had on his microphone something that was known as the emperor's hands. That comes out of Korean culture. And so they were really establishing themselves as what I think of as new world leaders, right? Really new world leaders. We are here to help lead the world into a new way of being that is based in community, that's based in music, that's based in joy, that's based in love and playfulness. They're very playful in their concerts, right? They have really established themselves as leaders in creating the new world. And the last piece I want to share with you here today is that Jimin and Hoseok and Namjoon all have the gate 28 defined in their chart. So that gate is known as the gate of struggle. In traditional human design, it's been renamed the gate of challenge in quantum human design, where we kind of go with that, that challenge opportunity kind of thing, right? And then also, I like to call it the gate of adventure. I have this defined in my chart as well. And the 28 is also a big assignment. It's not an easy gate to have. It's into individual circuitry. It's in the knowing circuit. And its fear, it comes because it's on the spleen center. So all of the gates on the spleen center have a fear. And the fear of the gate 28 is the fear that life is meaningless. And it can lead to victim consciousness, really that very disempowered way of feeling like life is just coming at you. You don't have the ability to really create your life the way that you want to. And that makes you feel like, why bother? What is life worth, right? If it's going to be such a struggle. And I know that the BTS members have shared at different times that they have had a lot of struggle. They've had dark nights of the soul. They've had days when they just were like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if, we're going to grow or not. I don't know if we can deal with the friggin' haters, who keep coming at us. And then even after they became very popular, and really, they kind of blew up internationally during the COVID era, because they had a couple of songs that were in English, and they went global, right? It, started with Dynamite, and then they had Butter, and they had Permission to Dance, and so they really blew up during that time. But then they had to go to military service, and obviously they had to cancel a tour in 2020 because they were meant to go out on their Map of the Soul tour, and they had to cancel that. I know that was a huge disappointment for them, a huge struggle for them. And they wondered, are we going to be able to do our work? Are we going to be able to, get back out there and perform? Because they couldn't for a long time. Their first concerts were actually in the United States, not in South Korea, because the United States let them do that earlier on than in South Korea. And then after they went to military service, they also wondered, are the fans going to remember us, right? Are we going to come back and it's kind of be like, they don't really remember us. And so they've had a lot of opportunities, if you will, to see challenges and to let their energy go that way. But they have really decided not to do that. They've made the decision, even though this gate 28, I really see it as that leading edge of consciousness, right? It's being out there, going where no one has ever gone before. And when you can have the spirit of adventure with it, it can be fun, but it's also difficult. Right? It's difficult to be the forerunner, to be on the leading edge, right? I mean, it's easier for them now because they have a global community, right? But it was hard for them for a long time. So really the opportunity for the Gate 28 is to purposely live on the leading edge of consciousness, right? To choose it as a path rather than feeling like, oh my God, this is so difficult. I see everything so differently than people do. I don't fit in everywhere. I don't know what my path or my purpose is, right? That's one of the things that 28 can fall into, and all of individual circuitry really. But when you can embrace this as the leading edge of consciousness, and you can realize you're here to bring the change that needs to happen in the world. This is part of your assignment, is to do this. And markers for that are all over the human design charts of many of the of the members of BTS. And I will say that there's a mix of generators and manifesting generators. 5 of them are generators and manifesting generators, which makes sense because most of the population are generators. But they also have a projector. Jin is a projector, and projectors are also here to help kind of organize. And he does. He kind of organizes the different generators. He keeps kind of people in line. And then Yoongi is a reflector. And reflectors are here to help reflect the health of the people that they're around. And so Yoongi is out there, right, in these concerts, picking up that energy and amplifying it of, 50 to 80,000 people, right, and then reflecting it back to them and letting them know how important this joy is that they have, the sense that anything is possible, that when we come together in community, we really can create a phenomenon that is sending a wave across the world, that we can live in a new way. It's really quite remarkable. And I'll say for myself, I have my BTS sweatshirt on here today. I'll say I became an ARMY in 2020 before the pandemic, and but right early on. And I fell in love with Black Swan. I started to fall in love with them. I fell in love with Yoongi because of what he said at the graduation speech that they all did for the graduating class of 2020. And I really have been very devoted to them ever since. And they've been making me personally so happy. I haven't even been to one of their concerts. I went to a live stream of one of their concerts. I haven't even been, but I've been watching them on YouTube, and I'm so happy seeing them be so happy and seeing how much happiness and how much joy and how much playfulness and how much togetherness and community that they're spreading around the world. So if you aren't familiar with them, I would encourage you to go and check them out just to see the vibe. The frequency that they're bringing is way, way, way high. And I've seen many people who have attended their concerts say that it was absolutely life-changing for them. That they will never be the same after they were in that environment. And for the ARMYs who may be watching this, if you're curious about human design, I am a human design expert. I have 800 videos now. I just hit under 800 on my YouTube channel. And if you want to know about human design, I do have a Start Here playlist, so I would encourage you to go do that. And I'll put that down below in there. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video. And as I said, if you want to see more videos about breaking down the human design of BTS, I'd be happy to do so. Just let me know. All right, my friends, many, many blessings. Much love. Be happy, be well, spread high frequency around the planet. Much love. Bye.